Hi, good evening everybody. Namaskar Kolkata. Okay, so the topic of discussion, the topic of discussion is rise of retail growth in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities of India. I mean, that's after, as we were discussing, after omni-channel or after Israel-Hamas conflict, this is the most sought after topic, Tier 2 and Tier 3 India. So I guess we have a very esteemed panel over with us today, and I have the honor of moderating the discussion. So to start the discussion, I would ask ma'am to start the introduction, just 2 minutes of introduction, so that the house knows who are all on the panel.
So I'm from Arambagh Foodmart Private Limited. We own a chain of small format modern retail, food and grocery retail chain in West Bengal. We have 80 stores in around 24 cities of West Bengal right now.
So I come from a family of umbrella makers. So we started in 1882. I'm the 5th generation into the business. So technically a manufacturer, but we also have retail stores and we have more than 400 dealers spread across the eastern part of the country.
Good evening, everybody. Myself, Krishna Gopal Sengupta, KG Sengupta, from Shrobonee Hearing Aid Private Limited, director and founder. We are in unique business category. We have the largest retail chain and service sector in hearing test, hearing aid sales, and audiological activities like speech therapy and other things. Hope you are all aware regarding eyes and other health-related issues. Today I will discuss a unique and most important organ regarding ear and why you will protect the ear-related issue and how we will get rid of. We have 26 and more units in West Bengal in Tier 2 and 3 cities as well as in metro cities. I pass the answer.
Hi, I am Tirumal Kumar. I belong to we have 3 stores in Orissa, Bhubaneswar and Berhampur by the name Sridurga Retail Private Limited. We are more than 7 decades old. I am 3rd generation into business. So I will discuss about how I changed and what business it needed to change. So that I will speak on. Thank you.
Good evening. Myself Navankur Das. I'm from Reliance Digital. So we are the #1 CDIT retailer in India and in East. We have around 78 stores in East as a region, and in West Bengal we have 49 stores. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Karan, Goenka. We run a value retail chain called CitiStyle. So it's affordable fashion. We've got about 35 stores across East India, and really good to be here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Jaipuria from BI Retail. So I purposely asked Karan to talk before me because you would have guessed all the panelists here are retailers. I'm the cat amongst the pigeon. I'm not a retailer. We are a solution provider to the retail industry, and we specialize in helping retailers make sense of data. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And for okay, please, we have our one more panelist. Hi. So why don't you introduce to the house?
So I'm Umang Mittal. I'm the executive director of the PRM Binjraj Group. We are into real estate, primarily into the Northeast. We have malls in Siliguri, and we have smaller malls in Kuch Bihar, Raiganj, Jalpaiguri. And we are coming up with 2 large malls in Agartala and Malda. And sorry, I've come late. Actually, I was at the BGPS, so I got late on the way. Thank you. And I'm the only developer.
Great. I guess after the quick round of introduction, I guess let's start with a very impounding question. What potential, I mean to start with ma'am, what potential do you see in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities as far as your retail model or the sector which is concerned? If you can throw some light onto what kind of potential that you see in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
Okay, so I'll start with giving a brief history of how this chain came into being. So we were initially a chain of branded chicken, Arambagh's chicken, a very popular brand in Kolkata and Bengal. So those stores used to be converted into Arambagh Foodmart, which is small format food and grocery chain. Now in 2012, when this company got separated, the branch of that main company got separated into a new business. In 2013, when we were thinking which areas to expand into, now we run on a hub and spoke model. Our stores are very small. So a hub needs to cater to a lot of different spokes to be viable. So it makes sense for us to leverage that hub as much as possible. So we thought instead of venturing into other metros, like faraway metros, why don't we try the other cities apart from Kolkata? At that time, we had only 22 stores only in Kolkata. So that was a big decision, and we always assumed, everyone assumes that smaller cities are smaller cities in terms of people having money in hand, people's willingness to spend. So at that time, it was a big decision. In 2013, when we opened a few stores in the Tier 2 cities, we never thought those cities will have any potential. We always thought that the money is concentrated in the metros, only the Kolkata people have money. But the stores took off so well, they started doing so well, they broke all our assumptions. We saw that people have disposable income, people have money, only that they don't have places to spend that money. And it's not enough to have restaurants or malls or cinemas for those people to go and spend money. They even want modern format, modern ambience, food and grocery stores to visit and spend their money. They are willing to spend money on quality products, quality lifestyle. They have aspirations as much as people in the metros, and they spend a lot. Yes, they are conscious of the quality and I would say value. They are not price sensitive, but I would say they are value sensitive. And that value doesn't come only from price. They come from a lot of different things such as service, such as quality, promotions, everything. And after that, we never looked back. We covered all Tier 2 cities of Bengal, and right now we are venturing into the Tier 3 cities also because just to gain the first mover's advantage.
Great, ma'am. I mean, the rise of disposable income, the rise of aspiration, as ma'am rightly pointed out, is really creating, the potential in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. I want to extend this discussion and come to Karan as to how do you see what potential in your business model that you see in Tier 2? What made you get into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities?
Yeah, so I think India is growing all across, but the kind of growth that we're seeing in Tier 2, Tier 3 is very, very high. I think consumption power is going. So I think across all sectors, whether it's any kind of consumer goods, things are doing well in Tier 2, Tier 3. For us, besides Calcutta, everywhere else is Tier 2, Tier 3, some cases Tier 4. And we see immense opportunity. We're seeing aspiration going up. So it's not just about price, it's not just about product, but it's also about, I think, every customer that walks in now is looking further up. With social media coming in, with easy access to the Mishos and Flipkarts and Amazons of the world. So customers are seeing what they want to be, are aspiring, right? So I think in terms of potential, there is no question whatsoever. But what's changing now and what's becoming challenging is that everyone is going to Tier 2, Tier 3, whether it's the brick and mortar players like ourselves or the online guys who are much larger. So now it's about how do you, do well in Tier 2, Tier 3. I think talking about Tier 2, Tier 3 is an old story now. I don't think it's a new story anymore. So I think what's going to be interesting is how do we survive Tier 2, Tier 3? How can we ensure that we are personalizing the experience for the customer? How do we ensure the customer comes back to us? Because today the customer has multiple options. So let's say 15 years ago when we opened our first store in Jamshedpur, we were one of the only people there. Today we have 5 stores in Jamshedpur, right? There are maybe about 25 other showrooms in Jamshedpur. So Jamshedpur is growing. But now why will a guy in Jamshedpur come to CitiStyle? That's the question that we need to answer. That's the consistency that we need to work on.
Well said, Karan. I think this leads to a very important aspect that, it's not about opening up stores. It's not about who is doing what. It's about adopting the right strategy. So let me point this question to Subhasis as to what do you think? What should be a strategy, a right strategy to master the game of a tier 2 and tier 3 retail story?
Yeah, so I happen to marry in a town called Chandan. So Chandan technically is a tier 2 city. So when I first went to Chandan, then I thought that probably, first of all, why I'm going. My father was very skeptical, 60 kilometers away from Calcutta. Why you're going marrying there? Why not in Calcutta? So there's this perception that tier 2 cities would be a little less developed as compared to the metros. And I was surprised that, every other retailer, modern retail, or, the local market itself is so booming. Every product that you need, which you can get from Calcutta, is available in Chandan. Or for that matter, any of the cities on the Hooghly belt. Now, the point that you asked me about is the strategy. The strategy is pretty clear that, we were talking offline just before the session about the value, the value proposition that we put in. So, the people in these cities, the tier 2, tier 3 cities, they're very value conscious as compared to price conscious. So whatever you give them, they're going to compare for sure. And there are more customers who are going to compare with the online availability of the product. They'll compare the price, and then they'll probably make a choice. Yes, online would take 2 or 3 days to come to your home, especially for tier 2 cities. Probably you're buying it there, you're getting it instantly and at a discount. And another thing that that is wonderful about tier 2 cities or tier 3 cities is the brand loyalty. In metros, for example, like we try to experiment with a lot of brands, maybe this one today, that one tomorrow. Now, since the perception is that disposable income is lesser, at the same time, there is this segment which will buy, as we were speaking, like there's somebody from Reliance here, that, buying iPhones, etc., as a status symbol to set apart. Especially in, cities like Jamshedpur, for example, or Durgapur, for example, extremely, wealthy people who are actually buying, very, very high-end stuff. At the same time, there are people. So the segmentation is important. For CitiStyle, I'm sure there is a certain segment of people who are buying. For Shrobonee, of course, it's a very, very niche sector in which he's working. So it depends. For us, for example, it's a utility product. Now, sir from Orissa was telling me that why didn't you make umbrellas a fashion product rather than just utility? We are trying in that direction. But at the same time, I happened to visit National Insurance Corporation office, which is headquartered in Calcutta. So they had a bulk order. So it's a small anecdote I would like to share. And there was this Mrs. Lama, who was the secretary to the MD, and she was telling me that I use your umbrellas from the Northeast, and we used to save money to buy your umbrella. So I said, there are Chinese alternates available, why don't you buy them? So no, we are very particular about which brand we choose. So we'll see, the Puma sales in the Northeast might be much more than what they sell in Calcutta. It could be a possibility. Similarly, the tier 2 cities are experimenting at the same time. For example, we have one of our, so we run this council of Bengali entrepreneurs. So Shondeep here is sitting, he's making a brand called Chakhor, 10 retail outlets, selling chai. He started with Jalpaiguri, and perhaps that is the highest selling store. So it's not that he started from Calcutta. So they are experimenting with new brands also, who are coming out from these tier 2, tier 3 cities. So there's immense opportunity there.
Great. I guess, the points that we can take from Subhasis is, the brand acceptance, the adaptability, the rate of adoption, right customer segmentation. I think let's pose this, let me bring you into the discussion. And from a national retailer perspective, you have scores of stores in Tier 1, metros, Tier 2, Tier 3. What is the real difference that you see, stores vis-a-vis in metro and Tier 2 and Tier 3, and how do you think that, what would be the level of competition that you would be finding? I mean, different sets of strategies, probably.
Yes, to answer your question, I would say first that our strategy was to expand both in the city and to Tier 2, Tier 3 simultaneously. It is not that let us get saturated and see the business in the cities and then move on to Tier 2, Tier 3. So cities where we have one city, one stores have really given us more benefit or given the kind of return that we may cumulatively get from the city stores. So, and that drastic changes happen after pandemic. So it was not so before pandemic. So if I quote some number there in a recent study of McKinsey, they say that 45% of the surveyed people said that they only want to work 3 days in a week. And 2 days or 4 days they want to stay at home. Now, where are these people have gone to Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai? They are the people who maybe from these Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, they want to stay back home and they have seen the world. Now, these people generally will then buy from us, right? So from that is one thing that we have seen that in the rising platform that we have gained benefit from these Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. Next is what we have also done is harp on the customer experience part. So what we think is that product can be imitated or copied, right? What cannot be is the customer experience. Because as RBI say, the Tier 2, definition of Tier 2 cities is a population below 1 lakh. So that's how they define it. But then how do I really retain those customers, right? So we had a presentation just previous to our session is to retain the customer. So customer experience is what we have really played upon, right? So we had easy return in the sense if you buy a laptop, a TV, you don't like it, you give it back. Within 7 days, we'll take it back. So, which maybe the retailers who are there or the smaller retailers in those cities may not be able to imitate us. And as a national retailers, we have certain offers which cannot be imitated, right? So we tie up with banks on cashbacks, on cards. So these are some of the advantages when we roll out in our promotional time, this cannot be copied.
I think,
So,
sorry.
yeah, that's all.
I think what he has to say is that the customer experience, bringing the customer experience to the only real estate guy on our panel, how do you think that, creating nice infrastructure, a nice retail mall elevates the whole customer experience in a Tier 2 or Tier 3 scenario? What's your take on that?
So honestly, about Tier 2 and Tier 3, one thing I want to share my view. I've been speaking to a lot of retailers. I feel we have to go beyond this definition of Tier 2 and Tier 3. Because you talk to 10 people, they will give you 10 definitions of Tier 2 and Tier 3. For every brand, there is a different meaning. What does a Tier 2 mean? What does a Tier 3 means? So even when I saw the topic, I was not very sure which cities are we focusing on. But I'm assuming Tier 2, I'm assuming like a city like Siliguri would be Tier 2. But in our context, for many of us, Siliguri would be Tier 1 also. Some city like Malda can be Tier 3, maybe. So that debate, I think, needs to have a nice closure with some new codes that can come, that can be consistent for brands. And that will really help a lot. And I think RAI can take the lead in that regards. Coming to the point of infrastructure and creating a mall. So even when we look at cities where we want to enter, the first thing that we look at is the modern retail penetration that is already existing in the city. So that comes from the high street. So when we look at that, that gives a sense of how much the city can consume and how much size the mall should look like, right, while designing. So surely when you give those elements in a single destination format, that is surely going to do better than combination of all standalone, because everybody wants a destination in their city. High street gives you a different experience. That is a completely different journey altogether. That's more of a functional experience. However, malls, as we all know, have evolved to become more of a destination. So surely that is going to act more than just shopping. So for any city for that matter, which is of the topic that you're speaking on Tier 2, Tier 3, a large center is a must. Because like if you see Agartala for that matter, for the longest time, till even now, they didn't have a proper mall. Whereas if you see the numbers on a store level, they're amazing numbers. So a mall in Agartala is a no-brainer for that matter. Right? It's just the right location and the right size has to come up. It'll do very well. So that's the way we think, basically.
Great. I think, identifying the right space in a smaller town is the key, which you mentioned. I think let's get Neeraj, the data man on the panel, and see what he has to tell us, how the data speaks about, where Tier 2, 3, 4, 5 cities of India is moving ahead.
Thanks, Vikram. So if you don't mind, I'm going to refer to some notes because I'm a data guy. I'm going to give some numbers and I don't want to make a mistake. Disclaimer before I give numbers, we work with hundreds of brands and retailers, but what I'm quoting is general trends. I'm not disclosing anybody's numbers here. So firstly, just on, why anyways are we talking about this topic? So India as a country, as a market, right? Retail is one of the fastest growing. We know that. I think at this moment, we are somewhere close to $900 billion in terms of the retail market size. That's not such a big surprise. I think what caught my attention, I was reading a report which says the D2C market has already grown to a size of $2 billion at this moment. So this seems like, less than 0.2% of the entire retail. But we've got to understand that D2C as a concept came in a few years back. It caught steam, I think, 3 or 4 years back where some large players made it big. So why am I bringing up D2C is because that is one of the key drivers today to what gets aspirational brands to a population that may not have access to the real estate that we were talking about, right? Because that's really where you are penetrating your delivery potential. Now, besides this, I think another number I'd just like to throw, I'm just setting the context, right, is that in a population, we consider the age group from 15 years to 55 years, typically, as a typical target consumer, right? It's not that the others don't, but that's the bulk of the population that buys. Now, the other statistics that we have is 53% of India's population between 15 years and 55 years reside in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. That is, I think we all know it's a big market, but I think when you get these numbers, it hits you. It definitely hits you. And just one last number I'll give. I think the average household income, of course in India, economy is growing. The average household income is growing. But the average household income in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities over the last 5 years grew at an annual rate of 7.8%. And to set context, all over India, the growth was 8.1%. So what we're trying to say is the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities is almost neck to neck with the country average. We know that metro cities probably have an average of 11, 12, 14%, but you can see how Tier 2, Tier 3, the disposable income is getting to that level. Now, after having said these numbers, just 3 quick observations. Now, this is something that I compiled before I came for this particular discussion topic. There are 3 or 4 big things that we've noticed amongst the retailers that we work with in terms of the differentiator between, let's say, selling to a customer in a metro city versus a tier 2, tier 3 city. The first thing that we must understand is a customer in a tier 2, tier 3 city will have what we call a higher repeat cycle. I guess everybody understands what that means. Basically, because the choices may be limited, the same customer is going to visit your store more often in a year in a tier 2, tier 3 city than he does in a metro city, right? So what's the impact of this? I think the impact of this is if you are, for example, a fashion, apparel, footwear retailer, when there is a higher repeat cycle, you need to be sure that you're rotating your stock much faster in a smaller town than you're doing it in a metro city. And I'm saying this as the most important takeaway that we have is because with most retailers that we work with, the thought process is my larger revenue comes from the larger cities. I'll send my best and my newest designs, styles to my metro city stores first, then I'd go there. So this is one takeaway. Another quick one is the assortment needs to get localized, right? So while the tier 2 customer is very aspirational, today with the penetration of internet, mobile data, etc., the consumer there knows what is in trend, what is selling across the country, but yet he still has, certain societal norms that they live within. So you have to understand that your assortment needs to get customized if you are trying to sell to this. And one last one very quickly is while the consumer in tier 2, tier 3 is getting very highly aspirational, but they are still very, very price sensitive. So I think Biyas said that it's value that they look for. So be careful about what price points you're trying to stock in those metros, in those smaller towns compared to the metros.
I think Neeraj has given us a good amount of idea about the numbers. Let's bring Mr. Kumar. I mean, he comes from Bhubaneswar. How do you find, how the numbers work for you? I mean, do you find some legitimate, linkage between the number that Neeraj has just told us, or there is some difference between what you have really experienced as an entrepreneur in the city? Yeah.
We have a store in Barampur that we might assume as tier 3 and 2 stores in Bhubaneswar that we can assume as tier 2. So we found the numbers, the customer retention, the repetition of customers, the new customers that are getting in. So my numbers are, I find our Barampur store, which is in tier 3, their customer repetition is more than our Bhubaneswar store. And the new customers coming in Bhubaneswar is more than Barampur. And we have one more store in outskirts of Bhubaneswar. There, it's a new store. There we need old customers and new customers, both. So I am studying all these things, and now I conclude that the customer retention is more important than acquiring new customers. So for retaining the customers, we have to adopt the customer, our categories have to be correct, the product have to be up to date, the salesman has to be correctly knowledgeable, the store experience has to be the best, the checkout process has to be very smooth, the exchange facility have to be very good, and still we get complaints, but we chalk it out, and we feel that the tier 2 and tier 3 cities have lot more scope because of the lesser capital involved in manpower acquisition, the infrastructure rentals. So I feel the Tier 2 and Tier 3 have much scope in the future also. Thank you.
Great. I think what he actually wants to mention is that creating a complete ecosystem of customer experience is the key. Your customer, be it in Tier 2 or Tier 3 or Tier 1, the customer equation, the ecosystem is very important. I think let's take it from Sir. What do you think, how the customer experience ecosystem works in your business model? I mean, customer experience ecosystem, be it the staff, training of the staff, creating nice ambience.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bothra. First of all, my company belongs to very unique, I told you a few minutes ago, one of my colleague already displayed here a presentation regarding difficulty of hearing issues and what affects the mental health issues. And we deal that unique organ, ear, which gather knowledge is more than 70% of your knowledge in your life. Now, as my segment is unique, so there is no difference in Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. My company actually started journey from Kolkata, Tier 1 cities. As you know, like air pollution, there is a sound pollution. Sound pollution affects our ear, and most of the people suffers from hearing loss and other things. Also, we are using different types of devices which creates noise induction hearing loss, and also health hazards we are using regularly and which affects our ear. Nowadays, you feel that there is a issue of healthcare. Availability of healthcare shops and centers is very difficult in anywhere. As I told, in Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities does not mean I am growing in Tier 2 and Tier city for profitability. Actually, after being born, we have 2 years for everybody. So it does not mean only metro cities people have ear and not rural developed cities does not have ears. So people in rural cities also suffer from hearing problem. In Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities are same. So the number of hearing issues comes from everywhere, and we never found potential opportunity like these words, because it doesn't mean healthcare is a service industry, and we do hearing test, we do speech therapy, we do vestibular test, which is very most important issues. So if we move in Tier 2 from Tier 1 cities to Tier 2 cities and 3 cities, then I think for my company, if I move our open centers in Tier 2 and 3 cities, the people there will get service in nearby locality. That is, accessibility will be better. And also, still there is a stigma, whether when you will declare yourself as a hearing impaired or not. If you think it is not, some of you know that all of you think only at the age grows, after 45 of age, everyone tries to identify whether there is a hearing problem or not. And so a regular assessment of hearing is required, like eye and other health checkup. But no one do that. But most of the people comes to us after old age, that is after getting senior citizen, like 60 years and above, 45 years, 60 years, 70 years. So that time, this type of people acquire several types of physical difficulties of movements. So we think if I expand our service in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, then people there will easily get our services, and that type of people who belongs to our senior citizens at age group, they will come to us and will avail the service with affordable cost without any health hazards. Also, the potential of the manpower, skilled manpower is not there in Tier 2 and Tier 2 cities like our specialized system. So we have to train manpower there specially, and this healthcare segment, very sensitive. there are several regulations and laws are we have to maintain the health issues. If there is a fault, you people, anyone you of them can go to consumer forum, any health-related organization to complain us, and that's why we have to build a specialized trained people. So it is not available in tier 2 and tier cities. So although we move there and train our specialized people there, and to eradicate the employment by this way, we also generate few employment there. I think there is an availability of land and other salary issues. Everyone told that it is lesser than the tier 1 cities. As we are in service industry, we never deprive other staffs. You get lesser salary than the Kolkata cities. So we provide similar salary to all of our staff. And that's why the specialist staffs we have to hire from other states also. And I think my industry is unique, and if you have any hearing difficulties and like that, we have to go to your doorstep near in future, and will serve you not only by expanding the shops and centers nearby. I will try to give you the doorstep services as possible, so that aged people and senior citizens will get the services at their doors also. Thank you.
I think we have heard him clearly. So the hearing problem that all of us have, he is the right man to contact. Okay, shifting our gears to a very critical parameter, I would like to bring into you this question: infrastructure development. We see that tier 1 cities, metros, the pace of infrastructure development is very fast compared to the smaller towns. How do you feel that government policies, local policies, rapid urbanization, transportation, advanced transportation models, how do you think that this all factors would actually play to the growth of the retail there? What's your take on that?
So I think infrastructure is one of the key enablers for retail growth. I can give you a few examples also. Like recently we have seen in the past 8-10 years, there's been a lot of infrastructure development across. Take it roads, be it rail network, be it airports. And we have seen benefits. Like initially when we used to tell people that you should open a store in Siliguri, they used to say, "Hamara supply chain nahi hai wahan tak. We have a supply chain problem." But today we don't hear much of that. It's all because of the infrastructure development that has happened across. For us as developers, infrastructure reduces cost, right? In cost of construction. Like I'm building a mall at Agartala, so now after the state has been connected to the Chatragam port, for us getting raw materials has become cheaper than it used to be. So that's a classic case wherein for us how cost has gone down. If you talk about retailers, I'm sure their supply chain will also get optimized now with better road infrastructure in Northeast. So this has happened across, and we will see the benefits. We're already seeing the benefits. So I think reach has increased. Today brands want to reach the last town. It is all because of the connectivity. That is the enabler ultimately, right? After technology, infra is the next biggest enabler that is propelling the retail growth, the next level of retail growth. So I think infra is critical, and the right ecosystem has been put in place as far as infra is concerned.
Great. I think infrastructure is really playing its part in driving the retail. Karan, what's your take? You have been present in 3 or 4 states in the eastern part of India. How do you compare? How do you see which state has given you more business because of infra growth, which has given less? I mean, do you see any disparity between infra development across the states, or is it the same, or is it at different level?
A couple of things. One, I think every state functions differently, and it's not a state issue, it's a government issue. There are certain governments which put infrastructural development on a priority and some don't. And even within a state, it's a geographical issue. There are certain districts where infrastructure development happens at a faster pace, some don't. That's, I think, beyond our scope. But what we have definitely seen is the impact of connectivity. So we look at tier 2, tier 3. We go to places which have a few lakh population in terms of that specific district capital, for instance, right? But as soon as infrastructure development has happened, the other zillas all around, the other blocks all around, all those customers now don't have to plan कि मैं रांची जाऊंगा, yeah, I will have to go to Calcutta, yeah, I will have to go to Siliguri. Now even a Malda becomes accessible. Now even a Devgarh becomes accessible. Now even Jhumri Talaiya becomes accessible. So I think infrastructure for sure plays a role. So this whole smart city concept that came in, right? So Bhubaneswar is an example, Surat is an example. There are many such other examples. So as soon as this happened, it wasn't just about what the government is doing for smart city, but there were entrepreneurs all around who were using this as a leverage. Okay, what else can I set up, right? So branding, actual infrastructural development growth creates more consumption, ensures that connectivity goes up. So all in all, it just adds up and creates a more conducive environment for us, to us to ensure that there are more customers coming in. And most importantly, it's making the human life easier. So as soon as human life becomes easier, I think everyone prospers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the easier connectivity. Mr. Das, I would like to have your point. I mean, you know, since you are spread across so many states, do you see any disparity between infra development? Is there any impediment of, you know, because of infra development? Any take on that?
Yeah, what I would say is that in our kind of stores, we require a bigger floor plate, like 10,000, 15,000 single floor plate to have a better visibility. So we see that tier 2, tier 3 cities, we are getting it more easily. And also we have seen that developers are more keen to develop the building, or what we say as BTS, build to suit, is more prominent now rather than in the cities. So that would be my perspective on this part.
I think we are just running out of time. It's hardly 3 minutes. I think, ma'am, I would like to bring your attention to this part. I mean, this is a very sensitive and emotional part in the cities that we have seen, Tier 2 and Tier 3. The emotional connect, the cultural differences, the nuances, you know, the caste nuance, the cultural nuance. Do you think that it really plays, you know, part in the retail business in those cities?
For us, it definitely plays a very important role because we are a small format store. We call ourselves the neighborhood supermarket. Since we are a neighborhood supermarket, and we cannot just copy paste Kolkata store model to any of the smaller cities. We need to take into account the culture, the language, the festivals of that area, the local preferences. So when we open a store, we keep these things in mind, and of course, we arrange our assortment accordingly. We even customize our in-store communication language accordingly. We keep specific products, seasonal products, festival products, local taste-wise, everything we customize so that the customer feels, yes, this is my store, this is my local store, this is my neighborhood store. They need to feel a connect to the store, and they just don't need to feel that Kolkata se aaya aur yahan copy-paste model maar diya. So they need to know that this is my store, I'm comfortable here, the people will speak my language, they will know my area. When I say yahan pe deliver kar do, they'll say haan wo area mujhe pata hai. So we need to keep these things in mind, as well as when we give them our offerings, we need to educate them a little bit that retail is not just about price cutting or deep discounting. Retail is also about a lot of different kind of values. So we provide our offerings keeping a very local taste, assortment, and culture in mind.
Great. I think, you know, Subhasis, I would like to bring your final comments. Do you think that, you know, cultural difference, the nuances really play a part in the retail growth story?
I think in a big way. In fact, it's not just about Tier 1, Tier 2 cities, it's also about the geographical location of it. So a Bombay would react very differently to a Kerala, to a, and precisely the reason why a lot of our umbrella makers are regional. They are not pan-India. So one big reason is that the colors change from region to region. The preferences for colors change a lot. In her sector, food preferences change. Some places they like more sweeter stuff, maybe in Bengal, but in other places they don't like so much of sweets. So these things differ, and the assortment in the stores differ accordingly. In fact, a live example, there is a particular type of an umbrella that we make with a two-tone fabric. So it costs around 900 rupees on the retail outlet. It sells more in a town like Baruipur as compared to one at College Street. So that shows that, the variation in which they look at a product. So they like the shiny stuff there. In Calcutta, however, they like the more sober stuff. So these preferences differ from places to place. Each place has its own unique tastes and preferences. So accordingly, the assortment has to change. So even for Tier 1, Tier 2 cities, it is applicable.
Great. Sir, your quick take on, how cultural difference plays a part in its role.
Actually, as per my opinion, not as per my business, there is no culture issue. Only one culture is we have to maintain the etiquette whenever we handle a customer. We do not deal customer, we deal patient. So that's why we have to consider the issue like whether she is a woman, she is a gender-specific issue, as well as in some cases you also rely on the religion issue. That's why there is nothing to say more. But in healthcare, everyone is open to the doctors, and like that in ER-related issues also everyone comes to us and they tells everything. They do not even whenever someone's husband slaps on his wife's ear, and they told us freely that I have got severe slapping on my ear, and please do test and find out the results. So maybe there is a Muslim, there is a Hindus, everyone told us, and they do the open secret in front of us. So there is no issue for healthcare industry, I think, as so far.
Great. Mr. Kumar, what's your take on, how do you leverage the cultural thing?
So, my point is a bit different. See, the infrastructure in India is fast forward. So it is catching up very fast in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities also. But we also need some more help or whatever you say from the government. And I request RAI also, the labor laws, so many compliances, they have to be simplified. So the entrepreneurs get entangled in these processes, and it's very, very cumbersome. So if these ESI hospitals in all towns to be well equipped, so if these will be taken care by, then better skilled workers can shift to the Tier 2 and Tier 3, and the business will be also good. Okay. So I request RAI and Government of India to help on this.
This is a request from a retailer, regional retailer. RAI, you guys need to take a note. Okay, Mr. Das, your final comments.
So we were talking about cultural differences. So I would just like to add on, the more different type of culture we have, better for our kind of business, which is consumer durable and IT. We can celebrate each month and make a property of each month as celebration and festival and make business out of it. So that is what I would say on this. Thanks.
Great. Neeraj.
So from where I come, I don't have any thoughts to add to this. It's very good. What I just like to leave with a final comment is, what is one striking thing that I think one can look at doing differently, especially addressing that population in B and C towns, is the importance to know your customer is X-fold more higher when you're dealing with B and C town customers than when you're dealing with metro customers. So I think that is the focus all of us as retailers must put when we are dealing with that audience. So that's just a takeaway.
Great. Karan.
I think a lot of what needs to be said is said. The only last point I have is not just about knowing your customer, but it's, I think, what the customer wants. And for us, that's become a lot more unique every year. I think we would look at data at a very macro level about a few years ago, but now we look at data at a much more micro level, and even that's not enough, because what the customer wants is changing very, very fast. So I think for all of us and for everyone here, what the customer wants is very important, and then are you delivering that or not?
Umang.
Yeah, so I think for us as developers, understanding culture does help us in finalizing our brand mix for the mall. Before, once the mall is structure is built, we do during the construction period, we do an analysis of the customers, what they are wearing, how they are celebrating, how much do they go out. That helps us to build the brand mix, right? Because say suppose there's a town wherein there's a more requirement of ethnic, so we'll try and push in more ethnic brands. If there's a corporate crowd, so we have to put in brands more of men's formal category. So we curate our brand mix after the understanding of the cultural sense of the town. Yeah, that's how we leverage it.
Great. I think, I mean, the esteemed panel has really summed it well. You know, the rise of infrastructure development, the investment in infrastructure, the rise in, you know, consumerism, the rise in aspirational level, segmentation, doing segmentation in terms of your strategy, you know, creating localized strategy according to the area is what the summary is. I just want to open this house for a couple of quick questions. I mean, since we have already run out of time, couple of quick questions. Anybody want to ask? Yes, ma'am.
I can take that. I think your question is how difficult or easy is it to
blend in with the local
customers.
retailers,
So I think it depends a lot from town to town. There are certain
local retailers, I mean.
Yeah, the local
business owners.
Yeah, I think it depends a lot from town to town. There are certain towns where we find the local retailers to have a unique voice. The biggest difference is that at a local level, they can curate the experience a lot more. They can focus a lot more on what the customer wants. In most of these cases, the retailer themselves is actually sitting in that retail store, the entrepreneurs there. So decision making is a lot faster, whether it is giving a discount, whether it is taking the feedback from the customer. They are speaking to the customer every day. So I think they have a lot of these advantages.
It's also very personalized at a lot of times.
So personalized, real-time feedback, whereas we in our corporate offices are, you know, evaluating data at a large scale, trying to see, does everything work for everywhere? It doesn't. But the beauty about us is that we give the customer a larger experience. We give the customer a more aspirational experience. So I think for us, it's about learning with those retailers. So what helps us is when we see them there, we know we have to be there with the customer. We have to put the customer in front of us. But we are grateful that in all cases, both have done well, and I think both will continue to coexist. I don't think the larger retailers are going to take them away, and I don't think they are going to, you know, eliminate us either. So I think it's a coexisting atmosphere. I think it's a different experience altogether. One is more about scale. One is more about a personalized experience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think we're done with the discussion. I guess there are 2 more sessions to come up. So thank you for your various thoughts, and I hope we have taken quite a good points as to how retail in Tier 2 and Tier 3 is evolving. Thank you all for being a nice audience, and thank you.